right, so we're team one. No catchy phrase, I'm sorry. My name's Steven. Eric and Ken. We're going to talk to you about ChaCha and its impact today and what it could be tomorrow. So, mobile computing going faster and faster, more powerful, more impact on daily living. With that, you have things like ChaCha that give you these answers at an instant. So people are relying less on SMS and phone calls. They're going to the web, going to things like that on their mobile devices. So the goal here is to see how ChaCha can find its place in this new world. Some of our goals, our main goals, are to enable ChaCha to be called and answered in multiple different formats. So orally, visually, different inputs, and not just SMS, but more of a multimedia version, so an MMS, or send a picture with a question and ask a question while you're driving, let's say. Also, another goal is to include a few core concepts, which is when you get a response, you get a picture, or you can get a link, or you can get a map even, right there in the individual response. A link to more questions or suggested questions from that. Some questions that other users might have asked that I also want to know about. And just the idea of connecting people, this idea of social connectedness by way of the similar interests in the questions and answers that we're getting. Okay, I'll talk to you about a few requirements.
We wanted it to be flexible. We need more than one type of input. Several times people were actually driving, they said, while they were texting ChaCha. So we want to also allow more than one type of feedback because you are not going to be able to read while you're driving. Comprehensive, include more information, anticipate what the user wants and provide that. Resourceful, incorporate social networking, foster collaboration, and connect people of similar interests. Simple and quick, the features shouldn't obstruct each other and they should be easy to understand and easily accessible. And accurate, probably the most important. Over half of our users had inaccurate answers. So more options will also increase the likelihood that they'll find an accurate answer and forget the fact that they didn't get the right one the first time. Why this design? So our outline of the study, we did 4 participants over 12 days. We studied them, kind of. Daily reminders were sent via text message to make sure that they were on task and completing them. Nevertheless, we still only had 21 completed responses. And the numbers are kind of not really what we wanted, but I think that it's enough to justify a more permissive design. We're not really taking away from ChaCha, we're kind of adding to it. So at least there's some user group that's interested. So multiple ways of asking. Typing and reading, as I mentioned, are not good while driving. As you can see the physical model there. The hands are off the wheel, the eyes are off the road. And conversely, if you are calling a friend, you can put them on speakerphone and ask your question, receive the feedback orally, and not have to worry about these dangers. So ChaCha is kind of a friend for the road. So 60% of the responses who are driving said that they would have liked to have a different format for their answer, and nearly half of all others.
So our concept looked into providing additional answers. Wrong answers were a major cause of frustration for our participants. Providing a link for other answers would increase the likelihood that that user would get the right answer. And perceived accuracy with the system obviously would increase. And like we've stated, more than half of our participants felt like their answer was inaccurate. supplying additional questions when they get their response. Suggesting additional questions would allow people to extend their ChaCha experience and would make ChaCha more like an informational guide to help them get to the resource that they need. Over 1/4 of our participants had additional questions after their original question was answered. Like the example, if they posted a question, who is Andy Samberg? ChaCha responds with, he is an actor on Saturday Night Live, and may suggest some guides to additional information that they may want to find out, or maybe it didn't necessarily prompt that question, or they may have not thought of that question. For instance, if it's a younger gentleman that likes the game of baseball, wants to find out more about it, sends a question to ChaCha about Babe Ruth, he gets an answer back that he played for the Yankees during a certain time period, but then may prompt him, did you know he also played for the Red Sox or this organization, to kind of enhance that knowledge. Steve?
Then back to that concept of social networking and this interconnectedness within ChaCha. Social networking would provide a cheap and sustainable way for ChaCha users to connect and answer each other's question. So a sense of not just the guide answering, but actual people within your network. And a network here is constructed of people of similar interests based on previous questions. I would also encourage users to stay on the site, explore it, kind of foster the sense of collaboration on the site even, hopefully. Over 1/4 of our responses again expressed a desire to connect with others based on the questions they asked. Unfortunately, during the study, we didn't get the exact questions they asked. That was kind of a higher level thought that we had about not asking the question just because we wanted them to feel comfortable asking any question. So we decided, okay, we won't ask the question. Later on, we asked for categories, but that didn't work out too well. And then the sequence model, where it breaks down is basically where it analyzes and formulates an answer, and then when the user receives the answer, with social networking, given that option to go out to people who have similar interests could alleviate that, kind of by what we were saying earlier about the more answers you have, the less chances you're going to get an incorrect one. How? So we're going to show you a demonstration.
Okay. So I'm driving and I call ChaCha 242-242 and ask them what are some attractions near I-65 South in Nashville. So they give this idea, this is buggy, but they give this idea of the Parthenon. They give a picture of the Parthenon to see maybe if you'd be interested. Also, whether or not you're there when you get there, map to the Parthenon, more ideas. So if you're not interested in the Parthenon, here's the world's largest cheddar cheese log, which is also on the way. And what is the best restaurant in Nashville, you might also like to know, since you're going by there. And see others who ask this. So what are attractions on I-65? That's pretty similar to what I asked. Turns out he got the same answer. So I'm going to ask him if he went to the Parthenon. And then they'll respond. And you can friend this person. You can see what their interests are. See who their friends are, chat with them online if they're online, see what they recently asked. Oh, and lastly, if you need to go back, you just have to press the bottom button on your iPhone. So the distillation of the demo, ChaCha was called and answered orally and with MMS. ChaCha understood the nature of the question and replied with a picture, different links to different things, a gateway to connect with the social network of ChaCha.
Then our conceptual design covered those three concepts, the idea of suggesting questions, connecting people, and giving multiple modalities to give and receive answers to questions. So, with regard to questions, you have the chance to go see more of them, but how are they organized? So that's implemented with some logic built into ChaCha now with this prototype, where it's ordered, in this case, by popularity. What are the most popular items relative to your location? It could be also ordered geographically, categorically, things like that. So the ordering of it matters. Another thing I wanted to hit on was this idea of connecting with others. When you connect with others, what do you get out of it? So you gain this social capital of expertise. And our idea of expertise is the more questions you ask about something within this broad category, the higher your expertise goes on it. You're interested in it more, you're finding out more about it, you're literally being informed more about it. So if other people want to ask questions, you're the person with the most expertise on it now. Or expertise on finding information about it. And Eric will talk to you about some of the design details.
Okay. Design details. In the response that you get with ChaCha, obviously you get a picture of the place discussed, lets the user know, one, if the destination interests him or her, and two, if he or she has reached that destination by a visual cue. Links to a website provides easy access to additional information that they could research. Other ideas, if this particular response is not something in this scenario, not something that they're interested in looking at, looking at the more ideas may give them a guide to something else that they may want to look at. Relevant questions, again, with that scenario, prompting, guiding into more information, and a link to connect this user to other ChaCha users that may have more relevant information for this particular subject. Links to people who have asked similar questions, ranked by relevance to your specific question, people who might likely know what you want to know based on their topic expertise and interest. So based on their expert ranking throughout the system, you'll have links to connect to them as well. And obviously, if you're not interested, double-clicking on the home icon takes you back to the message. With any social networking aspect system, there are some ethical concerns. ChaCha currently does not share any user information publicly, but we would let them know how ChaCha has changed. Letting users choose what they share is vital, considering some questions are of private nature. Groups that users are placed in based on their questions should be accurate and should never be misleading. So that's why we include the actual question asked by the user to ensure that he or she is not misrepresented, even if they're grouped improperly. So our decision in the safest solution was to make all calls and texts private, or at least those questions and answers private, while all questions asked through the application itself will have an option to check if they wanted that to be public information or not. So our overall general considerations, users are currently dissatisfied with the accuracy of their answers with ChaCha, so our plan will hopefully lessen frustration but will not completely eliminate it. Users were annoyed and even scared by advertisements and unsolicited surveys. And then finally, providing more information that is reliable and in multiple formats could merit small charges on a per-use basis. Questions?
With your oral input-output, when you receive the response back, and it tells you this, but you're also getting the MMS, but is there any voice commands that you can say back, like if there was additional links or something, kind of dive deeper into it, or would you actually have to call back that question?
You mean like to find more links, like to click on
Right,
a
I mean,
link,
are you
say...
gonna have to call to link, or are you gonna
Yeah,
actually
so
have some
you'll
sort of
get
voice
some
command?
information. Unfortunately, I didn't figure out a way to incorporate like oral commands, like once they've sent the MMS, because you get a response orally, okay? So
Mhm.
you'll call them, they'll respond just like 411, but then they send you this MMS. So at that point, the oral communication is cut off, so the MMS, interacting with that would be like interacting with your iPhone or something like that. That would be a separate endeavor.
So do you really cut down on the texting while driving?
Well, the most pertinent information comes over orally, so you get it if you need it. And then if there's something more you need, I mean, if you really want to delve in and find every attraction on I-65, probably wouldn't do that while driving anyway.
So hopefully you have a navigator or someone next to you, like in that specific case. Or maybe you could, maybe they gave you an idea, then you could pull over and, you know, get more information, get the map and things like that. Certainly it's not going to solve everything, because they can't just tell you, can't be a GPS, exactly.
And it's not a replacement browser. It's not like, it's not going to tell you everything you want to know
Right.
about, because then you can ask anything. Check my Gmail for me while you're out there.
So there are some drawbacks, but I think that overall there are a lot of questions that one could ask while driving that wouldn't take.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's more semi-oral, like the oral communication points me to something, if I want to follow up, I change modality.
Yeah.
But with audio being paired with textual, that gives a sense of history, so when they get close to that destination, they've got that media to pursue additional information from that point.
Yes.
So my question is the users who are actually responding back, the network. So are they from ChaCha network, or are they?
It's both. So you have regular guides still. Guides still exist, but then you have this network within ChaCha from other users.
Just ChaCha users.
Yeah, just ChaCha users. So you set up a profile. You set out, I want to be included in a network or whatever. And then, if they have additional questions, like the one with the Parthenon, he's been to he asked the same question. Well, have you been there? How was it? How'd you like it? You can poll him on more specifics as opposed to a guide who has seen it on a web page and then responded to you about it.
Would there be something about this user's profile? Maybe you guys should.
Oh, the user-specific
The user's
profile?
profile.
Yeah. So the profile which has a picture and then other friends, links to Facebook, things like that. That's definitely there. Yeah.
So the only question I have is, so when I call in, do I just get basically a voicemail where I leave a voicemail, and then I hang up, and then I have to wait, and then I'm assuming a robotic voice talks back to me?
Ideally, it would be like a 411 call. They could actually, the guide, it would be, this is why we were thinking about including small charges, because if you're going to require more interaction with humans, then you're probably going to have to pay them for it.
Okay.
So, like, actually having someone to talk to over the line would probably be the simplest solution.
It's like an enhanced 411.
Or don't charge them, but make them listen to at least 3 advertisements.
There you go.
Other question? Yes.
Do you ever do research on what questions are mostly asked when people are driving or on their way, so that you specifically support their needs?
Yeah, we didn't look at the questions again because we wanted the users to feel comfortable asking any question, and we just kind of felt if we told them, put your question down, put your answer down, well, I might not ask a certain question, so I might not use ChaCha. To us, it wouldn't resemble an actual usage of ChaCha. It would resemble a studied usage of ChaCha, I guess. It's the condition of being in this study would leave out some of the actual questions or usage of ChaCha.
We asked them to group their questions
In categories.
and categories, and a lot of them more trivia, but that might mean that they just don't know what trivia comprises.
So you want it to be similar to OnStar?
Somewhat, yeah.
Because OnStar does that really well. They'll
Yeah.
answer all your questions, and once I called and I was just like,
Unfortunately, you
I'm
can't take it out of
lonely.
your car.
Can you talk to me? And they were like, sure. You want to know what's going on in the area?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. So it's similar.
That kind of sounds like a marriage of theirs and team two. I'm lonely. Talk to
I'm
me.
stuck in that.
Buy a friend.
I'm like, I'm lonely. Will you talk to me? She's like, sure. You want me to tell you the attractions in the area? I'm like, no, I'm just lost.